Well, hello, and thanks for watching another episode of Arfcom News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. Last week, I told you Wayne LaPierre resigned from the NRA in disgrace.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I didn't do fucking shit.
Citing ambiguous health reasons. Now, the NRA is claiming he has chronic Lyme disease, which is a controversial diagnosis distinct from actual Lyme disease. Without diving into the rabbit hole of whether chronic Lyme disease is even a real thing, just go ahead and take a moment to bask in the glorious irony of Wayne claiming to be suffering from the lingering effects of a diseased blood-sucking parasite. As the NRA's civil trial in New York slogs on, you can expect to see a flood of dirty laundry coming to light, and you can enjoy the further irony of control freaks tripping over themselves to help us get rid of the scummy scumbags who have prevented the NRA from being the gun rights juggernaut it really ought to be. Michael Bloomberg's gun control propaganda rag, The Trace, published a recording of the NRA's treasurer conspiring with other senior leadership to hide LaPierre's plundering of NRA coffers for his own benefit by accounting tricks and laundering expenses through a credit card charged to the NRA's PR firm Ackerman McQueen, which would then charge the expenses back to the NRA with vague invoices to hide any sort of excesses. They're also heard planning how to hide Wayne's use of private jets because Wayne wants to get through the whole year saying he hasn't used private aircraft.
But he just doesn't want to be seen getting off the plane.
As always, we'll link our sources down there in the doobly-doo, of course, so you can listen to the recording for yourself and draw your own conclusions, but it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors, so let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by TNVC.com, your source for bespoke, artisanal, non-GMO night vision products expertly forged by Amish craftsmen in the heart of a dying star.
Do you like seeing stuff more than not seeing stuff? I know I do. If so, then check out TNVC.com for all your seeing stuff needs, because we'll be seeing you tonight.
U.S. District Judge Catherine Mizell dismissed an indictment against a postal worker for carrying a gun on postal property, saying the federal law prohibiting the possession of guns on Postal Service property is a violation of his Second Amendment rights. Emmanuel Ayala was a semi-truck driver for the Postal Service, and he carried his pistol in a fanny pack through the post office when starting his shift. When confronted by agents of the Inspector General's office, he took off running and was later apprehended by Tampa police. The judge did not throw out the indictment for resisting arrest, even though she admitted it may have been lawful for him to resist unlawful arrest, but she says that is a matter for a jury to decide. What does this mean for you and me? Well, the most important takeaway is always don't fight with the cops. Don't run from the cops. Even if you're right, you can still be wrong, and it doesn't help to argue on the spot. As they say, you might beat the charge, but you won't beat the ride. But does it mean we can all start carrying in post offices now? Well, I mean, you always could carry in a post office, but don't expect them to take down those signs anytime soon. Theoretically, the law has been declared unconstitutional. In reality, it may take a while for the USPS to come into compliance, and I wouldn't count on employees or law enforcement to know or understand the change. This case is yet another example of control freaks attempting to wish bad things into the cornfield without any real good faith attempt to actually make people safer. I mean, I'll grant the notion that maybe guns shouldn't be allowed in some places, like jails or possibly courtrooms. But if weapons are not allowed, there must be a real effort to actually enforce the policy.
It's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's my birthday. Super party like it's my birthday.
That makes the difference between a sensitive place where soft-headed but good-meaning people really wish there weren't any weapons, and secure places with positive entry control, effective screening procedures, and armed guards. Plastic signs don't stop bullets.
Man, let's just go.
Sensitive places are just target-rich environments. Secure places, if administered properly, can actually be made safe, or safe enough. What do you think? Is there any place you can think of where it is constitutional and reasonable to prohibit weapons? Those wacky control freaks are at it again. Now they're trying to ban militias. The Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act, or PPPA, sponsored by Senator Ed Markey and Representative Jamie Raskin, would make it a crime to publicly drill or engage in techniques capable of causing bodily injury or death, or to train how to do so. The language is vague and ambiguous, leaving me wondering what type of techniques they're actually attempting to target, but that ambiguous language is a feature, not a bug. Regardless of what is intended, it certainly could be applied to any defensive firearms course. For that matter, it could easily apply to anyone plinking cans in the desert.
He hates these cans! Stay away from the cans!
It's the sort of thing which in practice isn't likely to put an end to all firearms training, but it is worded in such a way that it certainly could. I think the idea behind laws like this is to give as much power as possible to law enforcement in the hopes they'll get creative and oppress people in whatever way they think they can get away with, and then just, let the courts sort it out. Except that intentional ambiguity could come back to bite them in the ass on this one. The bill also makes it unlawful for anyone to interfere with or intimidate another person in that person's exercise of any right under the Constitution of the United States. So if I'm out there exercising my rights and somebody interferes with me or intimidates me, they can go to jail?
Right to jail, right away.
For that matter, the very existence of AstroTurf organizations like Everytown and Moms Looking for Action would also be illegal. This is as good a place as any to do a quick 2A refresher. Authoritarian police state enthusiasts like to underscore the first clause of the Second Amendment because they think it means the 2A is the only collective right in a document enumerating dozens of individual rights. A well-regulated militia is not a militia drowning in government regulations. In this context, regulated means properly functioning. So a more modern paraphrase would be, a properly trained and equipped militia is necessary to the security of a free state. Therefore, the right of the people to possess and carry arms shall not be limited or interfered with. And the militia is the whole of the people. It is every single adult who is capable of bearing arms, but not already in the service of the state. One could even make a persuasive argument the Second Amendment places a duty on government to provide munitions and training to the people.
I have spoken.
Now, I know I don't have to convince you folks that this is a very bad idea for a law. You know it violates our First Amendment right to assemble as well as our Second Amendment right to form militias. But we really do need to convince our Congress critters that it's a bad law, and more importantly, that supporting it will cost them their jobs. So please, whatever you're doing right now, just take a moment and call the Capitol switchboard at 202-224-3121 and tell them to oppose the PPPA, the Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act. Now, before we get to your moment of zen, I just want to draw your attention to a video we recently published on our reviews channel covering the Rost Martin, which is an affordable pistol made entirely here in the US, and it is not a Glock clone. What's that? You've never heard of the Rost Martin? What? You didn't even know we had a separate reviews channel? Well, get your butt over there and check it out. Links down there in the doobly-doo and probably there in the corner wherever we put it. And now for your moment of zen. Hey friends, do you like pews and other pew-related things? Would you like to help us keep delivering you pure, uncut American pew propaganda at the low, low price of freight? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors, so do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you.